everyone today. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. Quite a few things to get through, so let's get to it. We're starting a little bit earlier today because I actually managed to get my ish together. So we're starting early. Thank you all of you for streaming in early. Hey, Julia. Hey, Resistors. Hey, Gary Roberts. Oh, yes, please get your hello in. Hey, Vanessa. Hey, Kenneth. Hey, Mina. How you doing, Mina? FYI, definitely go back and watch the last podcast. Listen to the last podcast if you didn't. We had multiple speakers on. Rahini spoke. We haven't had Rahini up for a while. Lightside, Karen, and some other callers as well. It's definitely worth a listening to because we spoke at length about multiple things. It was a very, very multi-layered conversation. So I know that these podcasts are very time sensitive, like it's very news of the day, but there were so many evergreen things that we spoke about in the last podcast. It's definitely worth going to listen to if you missed it. Right. The royals are indeed in panic mode and they're trying to make it look like they're not, but it's just so obvious that they're floundering and they don't know what the hell to do. They've decided to just start throwing themselves everywhere. Charles decided to go to Fashion Week for the first time. Oh, I wonder what inspired him to do that. Kate and William actually showed up to the BAFTAs. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think didn't they not go last year? You've got Anne, I think, visited a crisp factory. They sent Edward out, I think, to the Olympics. They've even rolled out the two old minor royals. I don't know what their names are. But they've managed to roll them out as well. They're just doing anything at this point. And I genuinely believe that they're just hoping that all of this goes away. And if it doesn't go away, well, Andrew might just have to go away. Julia, I mean, this is what I'm assuming they believe is damage control. They believe just carrying on like nothing is going on is damage control. They believe that ignoring the screams of victims is damage control. They believe that waltzing around, still living the privileged gilded lives that they get to live off of the taxpayer's dime is damage control. They believe that saying nothing is damage control. They believe ceremonial BS about we're going to remove titles and we're going to remove you from the line of succession is damage control. They're literally just causing more damage. That's what's happening. Yes, Kenneth, they just returned from another holiday. Another one. They are out of their minds. And it's like they think we can't see them. Exactly, resistors. I don't think that they would have come to the BAFTAs if it weren't for the scandal. They even got Kate a new hairstylist. This is the best her hair has looked in a long time. They thought, oh, we better up the budget for the hair and makeup. Because we've really, really got to be super glam. They even had Kate at the rugby, also looking rather glamorous. The most glamorous she's looked in a while. They've definitely stopped punishing her and brought in a new hairstylist. Because nothing says let's deal with the scandal of a whole nonce who was friends with a PDF file like bringing in a new hair and makeup person. It just gets more insane as the days go on. Now, of course, I'm going to find a way to drag Harry and Meghan into this somehow, and here they are. They managed to find it. It took them a few days, by the way. It took them a few days. Mind you, there's only 3 brain cells in the whole office of the Daily Fail. So it took them a few days, but they finally managed to find a way to throw Harry and Meghan into this. The Fab Four fell. Did Meghan's lavish New York baby shower take place while William confronted Harry over abrasive nature before pushing him into a dog bowl? This is the best that the Daily Fail could come up with. And 400 comments on this article, by the way. To the readers of the Daily Fail, are you not embarrassed that Meghan has you in such a chokehold? And also, do you know what? I'm even starting to wonder, with the Daily Fail, I believe that a lot of the comments are actually auto-generated, or like bots at this point. I've actually suspected this for some time. Anyway, Meghan is completely unconcerned, of course, living her best life. This picture is a new picture from the As Ever Instagram. Looking absolutely gorgeous. This actually looks like, to me, it was probably some outtakes from the Christmas season. Looking a little Christmassy. Lovely nonetheless. Definitely make sure you are following both As Ever and Meghan, who has reached, I think she's over 4.5 million followers now on Instagram. I think she'll get to 10 million before the end of the year. Gorgeous picture. Where to even begin? Because there's just so much. Now, let's start here, I guess. So now there's now talks of removing Andrew from the line of succession. How about just remove the line of succession? How about that? Anyway, that would require abolishing the whole monarchy, and that would be a whole thing. But as this person said, this is all ceremonial nonsense designed to save the monarchy by creating distance between them and the person that they created, financed and defended, and most likely covered for. There is no world where William, Harry, and their offspring all die so Andrew becomes king. Be serious. Exactly. What type of catastrophic accident is going to happen in both the UK and the US that both Harry, William, and their offspring just disappear? It's not happening. So, as this person said, this is all ceremonial BS. So the government is apparently looking to draw up legislation to remove him from the line of succession. Now, that will probably happen. What does it mean in the wider scope of things? Nothing. Because they can remove him from the line of succession, but will he still be getting police protection? Probably. Will he still be getting some princely privileges? Very likely. I'm actually going to call it out now. And I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think Andrew will be alive by the end of the year. Because the easiest way to deal with Andrew is just to make him disappear. Virginia Giuffre died, and it's like she never existed. So the easiest thing to make all of this go away would just be to just get rid of Andrew. And do I think that this institution is above that? No. I think we all know they're not. I mean, they're pretty much acting as if Andrew doesn't exist and as if he's not one of them anyway. Running around, going to Fashion Week, going to the BAFTAs, going to Chris Factories, going to the rugby game. They're pretty much acting like he doesn't exist anyway. And all of the arrests and everything surrounding it, the way that they're talking about it, it's all centered around possible misconduct or espionage or treason. That's the narrative. Nothing to do with any of the very credible allegations of abuse. This was on the cover of the Daily Mail. Email proves Charles was warned about his brother's secret deals. Okay, his brother's secret deals, but what about all of the abuse allegations? They're not even talking about that. They're trying to erase that entirely. That's despite the fact that we've got pictures like this. Now we've got even more pictures. I'm not going to keep these on the screen for too long because I just think they're too distressing. I don't want to trigger anyone, and quite frankly, they creep me out. I don't want to know what happened before or after this picture was taken. This is an infant sitting across from Andrew holding some kind of toy that's shaped like a boob. Now, we don't know whose infant this was or exactly when this photo was taken, but we do know actually that it was taken within a royal household. Shout out to the person that managed to spot that carpet on the floor. There's another picture of Eugenie sitting in that same room. That's how they managed to figure out that this room was a royal residence. Now, both the other picture of Andrew kneeling over a woman who's flat on her back on the floor, and this picture with this infant, the palace has not said anything about either of those two pictures. Now, granted, we don't know the context of either of those two pictures. We don't know the context of this picture. But if there was nothing fishy going on, nothing would be stopping the palace or Andrew from releasing a statement and adding context to the picture if the picture was innocent. They haven't done that. So that's how you know something very wrong was going on here. I'm going to take a picture off the screen because it's disturbing me, and it's probably disturbing you. Just the vileness of all of this. So we've had two sets of pictures now come out that look incredibly disturbing and incredibly suspect, and no statement has been released by either of them, but you've got William and Kate waltzing around at the BAFTAs. You've got Charles at the front row at Fashion Week, sitting next to Stella McCartney. Can I also just say, anybody standing next to or associating with these people at this point, you are also complicit in the silencing of victims. This is how desperate some of these people in these circles are. Stella McCartney she's very well established. She doesn't need to be doing this. What is this saying to all the victims who have been brave enough to come forward? We're still going to stand by people who helped silence you. Now, indeed, Kate and William were on vacation just 6 miles away when Andrew was arrested. Prince William arranged for some things to drop this week, given the impression that he was keeping busy and not on vacation. There was a pre-taped Earthshot announcement and a pre-recorded BBC radio interview, which was apparently done weeks ago, according to the rumours. Well, the interview that was done weeks ago, as we discussed on the last podcast, because they're such in a mess, they didn't think, let's not drop this interview because it comes across as so tone deaf. But they had to drop it. Why? Because they were trying to distract from the fact that William and Kate were on vacation again. Make no mistake, William and Kate have both been on vacation this week, and when the royal ish hit the fan. They were also on vacation last fall when Charles finally removed Andrew's titles after weeks of dithering, and William and Kate tried to piggy bank on Charles's decision and pretend like they had a say in it. This week, William and Kate were only 6 miles away when William's uncle was arrested at Wood Farm. So they were apparently on the Sarandon estate with the kids for the half-term break. The humiliated ex-prince was taken into a police station 55 minutes away after being taken into custody. I mean, it's also interesting that it was his birthday but none of them were there. That's how you know they knew. Apparently, they're saying that Charles was not told in advance of the arrest. I don't believe that either. There's no way a royal would be arrested on a royal residence without the king knowing. That's rubbish. So the funniest part about all of this is that William's crisis management is continuously trying to convince everyone that William needs to be co-monarch, and William is decisive and he'll be the one to actually clean up all of the royal mess. And yet, in crisis after crisis for the monarchy, the whole ass heir to the throne is in the wind, too lazy to show up, on vacation, and refusing to participate in anything resembling crunch talks or emergency meetings, or even just regular old discussions about how the monarchy should proceed. Incidentally, there's been no advance gossip this week about whether BAFTA President Bill will actually show up. Well, here he is. He's finally showed up, but doesn't it say something that they weren't even sure whether or not he would show up? Because William doesn't do anything for BAFTA or UK film any other time other than show up for the BAFTAs every now and again. And they skipped last year. Why? Because they were on vacation in Mustique. They would not be here if it wasn't for the scandal. Insane. Lazy bunch. Charles doesn't want to investigate the SA charges because the British royal family and police were all new. Yes, I literally said this in a tweet. Unfortunately, I didn't put it on the screen, but here, yeah, I said this. Ready? Police can't investigate Andrew because they're implicated. The courts can't bring him to justice because it's the King's courts. The media can't report truthfully because they're in bed with the royals. And the government can't take hard action because they're sworn to serve the King. Accountability where? You literally can't get accountability because of those 4 things that I just said. Resistors, you said the UK Parliament has to get permission from all the Commonwealth countries where Charles is king to change the line of succession. They're not going to let brown people have that much power. So you know what the perfect solution is? Number 1, get rid of the Commonwealth. Just get rid of it. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that's how it works. But you know how these things are? When they want to change the rules, they'll change the rules. So do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if all of a sudden this so-called rule where all of the Commonwealth countries need to give permission, don't be surprised if that disappears. They change the rules as and when they want to, folks. And if there's anything we're learning, is the rules were never really real in the first place. So she said, thank the Lord Meghan and Harry escaped because you cannot tell me their children will be safe amongst these devils. No. I mean, looking at that picture with that infant. Oh. You have to wonder for the royal children that are still there. Right, we're going to listen to this audio from Graham Smith of the not my king folk, the Republic folk. And you know, it's gonna be quite interesting to see how the year goes with all of these upcoming events. Because remember, there's the cycle of royal events, right? So I think the next one that's coming is going to be the Commonwealth event, right? The Commonwealth service that they have, and then trooping. First time ever, I cannot be more excited for trooping after last year's disaster. But it's going to be interesting to see if the media tried to cut out the protesters like they did last year. Something tells me we may get much bigger protests this year than there've ever been at some of these royal events. And it's not just going to be the Not My King folk. But let's have a listen to what Graeme Smith had to say. This was a discussion on UK TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think this scandal has rocked the monarchy. I think it's a very serious crisis for them. And I am seeing, conservative and royalist commentators in, conservative places like the Telegraph and GB News questioning what's going on, demanding more answers, saying
they're questioning what's going on, not because they actually care. Do you know why they're questioning what's going on? Because they can smell blood. And where there's blood, there's money for the tabloids. Nothing sells more like a royal scandal. And the Harry and Meghan hate train is slowly losing steam, so they need something else.
And their statements from the palace are not enough. This has caused a lot of anger, not just amongst ordinary people who don't really care that much one way or the other, but are upset by these allegations, but also amongst their core supporters. So this is causing huge damage. And we do need a serious debate about post-monarchy Britain, because this could actually end the monarchy. And we do need a serious debate that doesn't if you don't mind me saying, a little bit more serious than what I've just been listening to, because, the notion that it is impossible.
Let me just say, I think that the actual process of abolishing the monarchy will be an absolute issue for reasons that I have stated before. When I think back to Brexit and the way in which different parts of the media weaponize that to sow division, the way different political figures weaponize that to sow division. But once you get over that hill, when if they actually abolish the monarchy and get rid of the power structure and get rid of take the power away from the individual members of the royal family, or let's just say, okay, let me give another scenario. Let's say we kept the every single part of the monarchy as we understand it, but just took the power and money away from individual members of the royal family. Let's just say we do that, right? We don't have a big old political vote and all of that mess to legally abolish the monarchy. We just take the power and money away from William, Charles, Kate, Camilla, and the rest of them. We just get rid of them. What is the United Kingdom losing by not having them showing up to the BAFTAs, not having them showing up to a crisp factory, not having them show up to a rugby match, not having them go on 8 vacations a year? If we just took away the power and privileges of the individual members of the royal family, what is the United Kingdom losing tomorrow? What's going to wake up and be different tomorrow? Okay, we don't get to see Kate in a Jenny Packham dress 3 times a year. What are we losing? Anybody in the comment section, what are we losing? If we don't get to see Kate show up and clap her hands at the rugby, what are we losing? Well, I don't think we're losing anything. This is why I personally think, I don't even think you need to do a whole, abolish the monarchy, vote for reform, all of that. I actually think it can be so much more simple than that. The main problem here, is individual members of the royal family abusing their power and abusing others. That's just how I see it. I don't know. If you see it otherwise, you can let me know. Let's continue.
It's impossible to elect a head of state and have continuity and to, have a serious head of state to do a good job. Is somehow beyond us. It's clearly nonsense. I mean, Ireland and Germany and Austria and Finland and Iceland, they all have histories, they all have continuity, and they have excellent heads of state, not running the government, not being prime minister, but representing their countries home and abroad. And that is a conversation which we desperately need, because the monarchy is in serious danger, and it does reflect on them. Because for the points that I've just made about the questions about, what did they know when, the answers to those questions are not going to be palatable to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't know what the answers to those
also,
questions
can
are.
I just come back on that, comparing the head of state to our monarchy? The royals, the British royals, are a global soft power, and they cannot be compared to the head of state, for example, for Ireland, in terms.
You know, all of this rubbish about global soft power, let me just say something. You all who have been following me on this podcast for a long time know that I traveled quite extensively, especially in 2023. I traveled to multiple countries. I went to Tbilisi, Georgia, right in between Russia and Ukraine. I went to Turkey. I went to Portugal. I went to Singapore. I went to Malaysia, Indonesia. Anytime I mentioned that I do a podcast about the royal family, I tend to get one of three reactions. They either start asking about Diana, usually conspiracy theories surrounding her death. Or they start talking about Downton Abbey, of all things. Or maybe they mention the Queen. It's very surface level people's understanding of the royals outside of the UK. That's the first thing. Secondly, the day-to-day things that the royals do in the UK, visiting the crisp factory, visiting the button factory, visiting the farm, petting the sheep, going to the rugby match, those type of things don't travel further than the forced PR and forced press in the British tabloids. It doesn't really travel further than that. Nobody in Portugal, Spain, Iceland, anywhere else in the world, even other countries within the Commonwealth, is following the day-to-day of what the royals do in the UK. And anybody who thinks otherwise is delusional. The second thing, when the royals do make global news, it's either because two royals ran away from the institution and did an interview with Oprah, or a royal got exposed in photos on Epstein Island. Those are the two biggest, or a princess goes missing and we don't know whether or not she's dead after a cancer diagnosis. Those are the three biggest royal stories literally since Diana died. So all of this nonsense about soft power is nonsense. The only time they make global news is when ish is hitting the fan. So all this talk about soft power is nonsense. I've traveled enough to see and hear it for myself. All of this drama with Andrew and Epstein, this is the most the royals have been in the news literally since the Oprah interview. And I would actually argue that this has made even bigger international news than the Oprah interview because of all the ties to Epstein. So the soft power narrative is a lie. If there is any soft power, the power is really just staying within the establishment. Whatever backdoor deals they do, because some of these people in these countries, they love to hang around the royals. The Saudis love the royals. The Qataris, they love the royals. They love hanging out with them. So they send them out. Okay, give us a little oil trade deal or something like that. But in the wider scope of things, how are we on an individual level? How are we benefiting from those things? They benefit the most.
In terms of the economic pull, the tourism pull that they have to our country compared to any other head of state. They are totally different because of the very nature of the fact that they're royal. Okay, they're not just a head of state.
Let Graham come back on that.
I disagree with that entirely. I would actually say in terms of the UK, the biggest pull is people love visiting London and the historical places like Bath, Cambridge, Brighton, or they like to go to the nature places, or our coastal places like Cornwall, or cities like Edinburgh. When I hear tourists talk about or ask me about, what can I do? What can I see in the UK? I'm thinking about going here. I'm thinking about going there. Very few people mention the royals first. And you don't even need royals to be alive to make money from them. Marie Antoinette got her head chopped off when? Do people not still show up to Versailles? The legacy is more powerful even. People are still going to show up to Buckingham Palace and take their pictures outside, whether we have a royal family or not. People are still going to show up to Windsor, whether we have a royal family or not.
This is why we need a serious and informed debate, because the soft power is largely mythical. The economic pulling power is complete nonsense. They don't bring anything in terms of tourism. This is all being debunked, and this is why we need a serious conversation.
Hold on. You're saying that the soft power is mythical. Do you think it was mythical when we gave Trump a second state visit? And I think you could physically see his ego inflate when that was given, and the soft power
Is she trying to insinuate that inflating Trump's ego was a good thing? And so that's why we need the royal family as a soft power to inflate the ego of tyrants. Is that what this woman is trying to say? I mean, I'm going to play the rest of the audio, but that's what it sounded like she was trying to say. The soft power was inflating the ego of a screaming orange. I mean, how much larger do you want to inflate his ego? As if it's not large enough. My gosh, I'm all the way in the tropics, on the other side of the planet, and I can feel that man's ego.
The effect that had globally.
And a month later, we were standing up alongside Denmark, and he was threatening us with tariffs. I mean, the point is, it didn't make any material difference. It was shameful that we gave him that second state visit. But the point is, there's no economic benefit. But the point is, this is a undemocratic, a fundamentally secretive and corrupt institution. And defending it on the basis that we might make a bit of money out of it is not a sustainable position. It is so simple to say, look, we can get rid of this. We won't miss it. There's no material benefits to it. And what we would have instead is an opportunity to choose someone on a fairly regular basis that process of choosing can be also symbolic and representative of changing attitudes.
I know Matthew has got a quick question for you. Matthew, do you want to...
Yeah, just quickly, we choose our elected leaders by definition. I hear the arguments you make, and of course, if and when the members of the royal family do anything wrong, they obviously should be scrutinised and held to account. However, this is a part of our national story. And I do believe, and I'm a left-leaning political commentator, I do believe in the importance of a national story. I believe in the importance of heritage. And I believe in
And you can have all of those things without having a corrupt royal family. You can literally have all of those things without having a corrupt royal family. Does France not celebrate its traditions and Bastille Day and all of these things every single year? Do other people in other countries not celebrate their culture and traditions in different ways without having a corrupt family at the center of all of that? This is what they keep trying to escape. The individual members of the royal family are corrupt. The individual members of the royal family need to be investigated. You can still have all of the tradition. In fact, you can center the everyday person in those traditions instead of corrupt individuals. And they keep tripping up over themselves to try and justify having these corrupt individuals at the center of this power structure. There's nothing here to defend. Every country in the world still has its traditions, still has its national days, still has its culture. You don't need individuals who pay off abuse victims to uphold that culture. because that's literally what you're saying.
And members of the royal family have given great service to this country, and they link us.
They've also paid off abuse victims to the tune of millions. Abuse victims that are now dead. Why you're sitting here and defending them?
Link us to our deep... Yes, they have, and they link us to our deep past. The Queen behaved for the vast majority of...
Our deep past. Did you hear what he just said? Our deep past. I don't think I need to make any commentary. I don't think I need to make any commentary on that. Our deep past. Which parts of the past, sir?
Majority of her time in an exemplary manner.
We're squeezed for time. Graham, do you want to come back on that briefly?
Yeah, I mean, they don't do a lot of service. They're pretty lazy on the whole. They do very little. The hours they put, if you add them up, add up to, maybe 2 months for Kate, maybe 4 months for William. A lot of this is PR. What the late Queen did was spend decades covering for her son, decades enriching her own family, and decades insisting on secrecy and a lack of scrutiny and accountability. This is, in terms of our history and our story, the thing about history is it has to keep on being made. And if we get rid of the monarchy, that would be a profoundly important and part of that national story, which we then reflect on in years to come. We don't have to be shackled by our history. We can carry on making it, and it will be a huge historic moment to say, no, we're not going to put up with this anymore.
That is such a beautiful statement, actually, I think, that he just said. We don't have to be shackled to our history. We can continue making it. Indeed.
Institution where we can genuinely hold people to account, and if they have done wrong, we throw them out without getting rid of the whole institution.
Right there, he said exactly what I said. If there are individuals that have done something wrong, we can throw them out without getting rid of the whole institution. And I actually think that should be the first step. Actually going all the way and doing all the legal stuff that would be required to legally abolish the monarchy and all of that. I think that can be secondary if you want to go down that route. Right now, we have individual members of the royal family that have been covering for a corrupt person within their family. Well, you could argue they're actually all covering up for each other in different ways for different things. Because Andrews is the tip of the iceberg. We don't even have enough conversations about Charles and all the people that he was involved with. People like Savile, the bishop, etc., etc., etc. Right? There's multiple things that you could pin them for. Also, has anybody seen Fergie? Where's Fergie? She just gone missing. The BAFTA awards are today. They literally were on the red carpet. Roseanne, you said something is about to break with regards to William and or Kate or both. I think that whatever is going on with William and Kate, I actually think it's going to be a while before we really get to the bottom of what's going on with them two. I think more recently with the move to Forest Lodge, they came to some kind of deal. And so whatever issue was going on with them, and that's been tamed momentarily. But the body language on that red carpet, the BAFTA red carpet, it was something else. Space, as Harry would say. Yeah, tourism, come to see the peas. That's what you want to come and see? People will still come and see royal buildings. In fact, we can open up more of the royal buildings if they're not there. Eileen, greetings to you. A could be gone soon. Remember, they're talking about concerns about his mental health. Yes. Thank you for saying this, and we can move on to the next part of the podcast. There is this growing rhetoric in different parts of the media talking about Andrew's mental health. We're concerned about his mental health. The hunting of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has gone too far. I ain't gone far enough. Hunting. What would you call what the victims have been through? The way people like this so-called Brendan O'Neill go hard for predators. If I go through this Brendan O'Neill's history of columns, has he written about standing up for victims once? I don't think he has. But here he is, doing the devil's work, writing a whole article defending Andrew. Defending him for what? Now you have Emily Mantis, who was the one who interviewed him for that infamous Newsnight special. That was a disaster. That led to his first set of ceremonial titles being removed. Now, what some people don't actually know is that Emily and the team that night gave him a chance to redo the interview. At the time, Emily was hailed as some hardline journalist, a woman on a mission to bring accountability to a royal. And she grilled him. She did. BS. She's an establishment hack. They wanted to give him a chance to redo the interview. And listen to what she said on LBC recently. This was literally yesterday. LBC have actually taken the footage down from Twitter. But of course, the internet lasts forever, so I don't even know why they bother doing that. Listen to what she said.
There is something very personal in this as well. And we talk a lot about people's sort of state of mind and health and all the rest of it. And I suppose I do feel, I feel concern actually as I'm watching this story unfold. And I suppose that two things can be simultaneously true, that it can have been a long time coming, but when it does, there is somebody at the centre of it, and it is a father, and there are children, and there is a mental health question. And I suppose that's what's sort of holding me back a bit and saying this is a pretty serious moment. You know, it's a grave. There is something very personal in this as well. And we talk a lot about people's sort of state of mind and health and all the rest of it. And I suppose I do feel, I feel concern actually as I'm watching this story unfold. And I suppose that two things can be simultaneously true, that it can have been a long time coming, but when it does, there is somebody at the centre of it, and it is a father, and there are children, and there is a mental health question.
Somebody please in the comment section tell me how old Beatrice and Eugenie are. How old are Beatrice and Eugenie? Because I'm pretty sure they're not children. Disgusting of this woman. Disgusting. There is a person at the center of this, a father. Was he thinking about how it would look for him as a father to be philandering around with the likes of Epstein? Was he thinking what it must be like for those young girls who had their childhoods, their youth stripped from them, being made to do what it is alleged they were made to do? And now you have this Emily woman, an establishment hack, talking about his mental health. Please understand that when you hear people like Emily, who is deep in the trenches of the British media establishment, talking like this, she's been fed that line. Please know that she's been fed that line. This is why I'm saying, and I think others of you have said it in the comment section, I don't think Andrew's making it to the end of the year. They are clearly setting up a narrative about his mental health and Yeah, don't be surprised if you see him, if you wake up to sometime this week, Andrew's gone. It would not surprise me at all. Also, I'm not going to put his ugly picture on the screen, but Boris Johnson apparently thinks that none of this is going to affect the monarchy at all. He did an interview and he said this. And note, again, as I played these clips, note how they're not mentioning the allegations of abuse, credible allegations of abuse at all.
What do you think the effect on the royal family will be on these months of woe and scandal and pressure on one of its members?
I think that the royal family is an amazingly resilient institution. I think it has an absolutely unshakable place in the hearts of the British people, and the institution of the monarchy. It has an unshakable place in the hearts of British people. It will go on. It will recover from all of this. I think the only conclusion I really draw from this is what an amazing and wonderful country this is, in the sense of that I don't think there are many countries around the world where you would have a figure like the former prince being, subject to the law in the way that he clearly is and should be.
Well, he hasn't been subject to the law. He literally hasn't. He's had some ceremonial titles removed. His name changed around a bit. He was arrested and released. Literally nothing. So I don't know what Boris Johnson is even talking about.
As the king has said, so this will blow over.
So it's a good thing.
This will blow over.
This will blow over. See? They are literally just hoping that this will blow over. And unfortunately, unless people make a ruckus, it will.
And I certainly think that if anything, I think that the position of the monarchy will be entrenched.
What do you think the effect on the royal family will be on these months of woe and scandal and pressure on one of its members?
I think that the royal family is an amazingly resilient institution. I think it has an absolutely unshakable place in the hearts of the...
Yeah, I think you're right, Lisa. I think for so many people, it's just so entrenched that they can't get away from this idea of the royals. Anyway, Charles showed up to Fashion Week for the first time. There he is in the fro. Oh, I wonder what could have compelled him to show up to Fashion Week. I wonder what inspired him to show up to Fashion Week. Nothing, not a single original idea in that palace. So remember last October when the Duchess of Sussex quietly flew to Paris Fashion Week to attend Balenciaga's latest show? Remember how the British press had a multi-week meltdown about Meghan going to a fashion show in Paris and how dare she? Well, the Left Behinds were paying attention to Meghan's every move, obviously. Just hours after his depraved brother was arrested and taken into custody, King Charles decided to make an appearance at the opening of London Fashion Week. He sat front row alongside Stella McCartney at the Toulouse Coca show. Not only that, but Queen Camilla had some kind of photo op with Anna Wintour at Clarence House, and the palace elves looked 30 years off from both women. While it's abundantly clear that Charles and Camilla are doing Fashion Week stuff because they saw Meghan do it, I'll give Charles some credit. Charles has long been involved in stuff like promoting and nurturing local artisans, textile makers and craftsmen. His choice to attend a British Nigerian's designer show was a big choice. Yeah, a very big PR choice. Of course, people aren't really paying attention to Charles's fashion connections, nor are they talking about how the Left Behinds try to copy Keen whatever Meghan does. Charles and Camilla choosing to do fashion stuff just after Prince Andrew was arrested and taken into custody is an extremely weird moment in royal history. Exactly. The level of tone deafness. Your family member's been arrested. Oh, let's go off to Fashion Week. Like, who does that? According to a Vanity Fair insider, Charles and Camilla were trying to send a message that the show must go on. Oh, but that's exactly what it is though, isn't it? It's just one big show. Katie Nicholl, who stands accused of illegal information gathering, by the way, I'm going to mention that every single time her name comes up, also noted that a royal source told her the family has been rocked by Mountbatten Windsor's arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Which is it then? Have they been rocked? Or is it the show must go on? Mind you, they were the one who were protecting him all this time anyway. Clark, isn't she in Dubai? Is that what the word on the street is? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure there's a prince or two that will have her in the palace. Just sell a few state secrets from the UK. Right, and all of this mess and drama, and again, not that it means much, but the UK government is considering removing Andrew from the line of succession. And as such, you now have people that are screaming and yelling, well, remove Harry and Meghan too. Okay, remove Harry and Meghan too. Remove them. Harry and Meghan are now 10 times bigger than this whole clown show. When a ship is sinking, you do not stay on the ship. You get on a lifeboat, you row away, and you get as far away from the suction point as possible. I am so tired of hearing remove the titles from two people who actually offered to give back the titles, as Harry and Meghan did. But you know why I think now, and I never thought about this, that the institution didn't allow Harry and Meghan to voluntarily give over the titles is because they want to appear dominant in the situation. The palace, Charles and William, want to appear dominant in this dynamic, and they want to be seen as we took the titles. That's the narrative that they want, because it's well documented. It's in the Netflix documentary. Harry and Meghan said it themselves. We offered to give back the titles. I don't think I've ever seen a headline in the British tabloids stating that Harry and Meghan said this clearly, and that they will refuse to give back the titles. Instead, you have Piers Morgan screaming every 5 minutes, remove Harry and Meghan's titles. The titles they said that they tried to offer to give back anyway. And now as we go into talks about removing Andrew from the line of succession, they're talking about remove Harry and his children from the line of succession. As if Harry has done anything comparable to have himself removed. But heck, would it matter if Harry was removed? No. He already has his own life with Meghan and the kids in California. So it's like you're disinviting someone to the party who doesn't even want to come anyway. So one of the secondary effects of Prince Andrew's arrest is going to be the slowly dawning realization that when King Charles stripped Andrew of his titles, ceremonial titles last year, it was all just half-assed and make-believe workaround with no real force of law. At a technical level, Charles didn't even strip Andrew's titles because Andrew had to agree to have his titles removed for it to have any kind of effect. It was not a legal name change, and as royal historians made clear, Andrew is still very much a prince, indeed. And he's still in the line of succession. Well, obviously, post-arrest, Parliament and Downing Street are asking more questions and trying to figure out what they need to do to get this repulsive creature out of the line of succession. But again, I maintain, what would it even mean? He's 8th in line. He's 8th in line. So what would it even mean? Again, it would just be symbolic and useless. He needs to be arrested again and put on trial for all that he is accused of, with all the other members of the royal family being brought in for questioning also. That is the only level of accountability that I'm accepting. I don't know about anybody else. All of this remove the title nonsense. Okay, a couple of you are saying that Fergie is hiding in Dubai. Hiding with who? Who's she hiding with? Is she hiding with her daughters? Because the daughters are coming under fire as well. Anyway, while Andrew obviously needs to be removed from the line of succession, it's outright BS to argue that he's potentially being a heartbeat away from the throne. Andrew is 8th in line after Prince William and his children and Prince Harry and his children. That's not a heartbeat away from the throne. I'm just saying. Andrew should be removed from the line of succession because it makes the entire family look horrible and because actions have consequences. But again, I ask, if he is still going to have his princely privileges after he is removed ceremoniously from the line of succession, what does it matter? What is actually going to change for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor if he's removed from the line of succession? Because if he's still living in the lap of luxury and privilege and all of the protections, to me it means nothing. I'm sorry. Until this man is literally behind jail bars, it means nothing to me. Maybe it means something to some of you all out there. It means nothing to me. This is an easy argument to make. You can't be credibly accused of trafficking, abusing women and girls, espionage, and sharing classified information and a convicted PDF file and still remain in the line of succession. That's absurd. All of this about what to do and how to do it is pretty telling too. These are the same people who are convinced that Charles or William could unroyal Prince Harry with the swipe of a pen. One more Andrew story rattling around the tabloids this weekend. Apparently, when King Charles tried to force Andrew out of Royal Lodge last year, Andrew reportedly ranted and threw a tantrum. A source claimed that Andrew refused to leave or take any responsibility. When he was told to get out, he was so arrogant and delulu and repeatedly shouted, "But I'm the Queen's second son, you can't do this to me." It is extraordinary he chose to use the Queen's name in his defense. No one is quite sure if the reality of this dire situation has hit home yet. I mean, if they kick him out of a royal residence, where's he going to go? Is he going to go to the homeless shelter? With a motorcade of 6 royal cars? In case somebody tries to off him? As far as I'm concerned, the only other place he can be safely is in jail. If Andrew decides he's not going down alone, yeah, he's in danger, indeed. Nice to see you, Himi fan. Thank you everyone who's been streaming in. Almost 600 of you in the chat. Oh, hello. Happy Sunday. Didn't even realize. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, he still has all his paid security and free housing. Oh my gosh. Chrissy, he said, it's funny how things are unroyal when Meghan does it, but once the royals do it, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, this is the first time Charles has ever been to a fashion show. And interesting, he chose a British Nigerian designer as well. Oh, how nice. How nice of Charles to show his support to a British Nigerian designer. Julia, would love to see Andrew give a tell-all interview. Well, the last time he did that, it was a disaster. And he barely told all. The titles are meaningless in this day and age. They're for books and movies. All right, next thing. Didn't realize how long of a podcast this was going to be, but it's quite a few things to get through. Yeah, I wanted to play this regarding the Royal Protection Officers. Now, there was someone who made a very good point and said, we now know that, some of those royal protection officers that were with Andrew were going to Epstein's place. So the protection officers are compromised because they're part of the problem. They would be part of this criminal investigation.
Will have to decide with their conscience and their moral compass what they did or didn't see. So it beggars belief to my mind that for 15, 20, whatever years it is that we're now looking at, nobody, police officers, private secretaries, those accompanying diplomats, to me, and I've summarized it by saying it's a conspiracy of silence by some people. It must be. Common sense says somebody must have seen aspects of behavior that I would have thought visiting the various properties Epstein had, not once, not twice, but numerous times, that no one could have seen anything untoward. And that's the point I'm making. But it needs investigating. To allege these things is one thing, to prove it is another, as you well know. They will have to decide with their conscience and their moral compass what they did or didn't see. So it beggars belief to my mind.
There you go. The royal protection officers are part of the problem. And the absolute audacity of some of these reporters, like this idiot on LBC, trying to lump Harry and Andrew in the same sentence, as if they're comparable.
Even for monarchists like me, it's a point at which we need to take stock about whether this system is serving us well. I mean, look, I'll tell you this. My own view is I'm still a monarchist. I do think that the institution has to find a better way of dealing with its spares. We had a problem with Harry, we had a problem with Andrew. That is the problem with this system, that the spares can become a complete pain in the backside, to put it politely. Even for monarchists like me.
The spares are the problem. And then comparing Andrew and Harry. I'm sorry, is Harry's name in them Epstein files? I don't think they are. Thank goodness there's some people with a brain like James O'Brien who did defend Harry.
I often think of Harry when I'm reflecting upon how vile British newspapers are, and the fact that they have and can successfully turn the British public against someone so obviously deserving of both support and admiration. It's not a very flattering picture of the British public, is it? But the effort put into, for various reasons, all of them pretty unpleasant, turning the British public against that little boy, who went off, of course, to serve Queen and country in potentially fatal circumstances in Afghanistan. And if you ever doubt the power that British journalism has to destroy the reputations of good people or to malign the reputations of decent men and women, then just have a little look at the Duke of Sussex. Until relatively recently, he would appear in newspaper articles as part of a set of problems that also contained his uncle, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And even at the time, I found myself thinking that this is beyond bonkers. I mean, someone who, for many members of the UK establishment's greatest offence was simply to fall in love with a woman of colour. How on earth you can put him on the same page as somebody who retained contact with a convicted paedophile long after the paedophile was convicted and misled pretty much anyone who asked about it for years subsequently? It's extraordinary, isn't it? I often think of Harry when I'm reflecting.
Absolutely extraordinary. Truly extraordinary. All right, folks. Let's just end with some commentary from the Twitter streets. A few people's comments here. I'm afraid I never saw what justified the endless fawning of the Queen and deification of the late Queen. It seemed to me about as North Korean as the society can become in its brainwashed deference. She left a huge mess, if we're honest, a legacy of cold indifference, except to horses and corgis. Here, a picture of William, Kate and Andrew. The fact that they were publicly embracing Andrew to snub Harry and Meghan makes this current crisis so much sweeter to witness. They wanted Harry and Meghan to feel hurt. They preferred a PDF file over them. Oh, how the wheel turns, indeed. And now here they are trying to distance themselves, as if he's literally not family. Watching BBC telling us how difficult this is for all of the royals in the country, it occurs to me that it would be a lot less difficult if we got rid of the whole lot of the sponging parasites like a proper country would. It's time for the royal reporters to exit the WhatsApp group, stop being spoon-fed and start factual reporting. They could start with the royal who was rushed to hospital on December 28th, then discuss how William bullied Harry and Meghan out of the UK, and what about Kate's cancer. Indeed, they need to get out the WhatsApp group. But do you know what? I think the so-called royal rota rats, they're too far deep at this point. They're part of the problem. They're part of the criminal enterprise. Because they're just propaganda mouthpieces. Anne Boleyn saying, the truth is, royal correspondents want money and attention. Meghan sells, Harry sells. They sold them as the problem for kickbacks and exclusives from the royal family, as well as for the millions of clicks and views they'd get just speaking of Harry and or Meghan. They knew exactly who and what Prince Andrew was. They've always known. It's never been about the truth. Yeah, for them it's about making money and keeping this hate machine rolling at any expense. Well, with that, thank you so much, folks. It's been a pretty heated podcast, but I appreciate you all. I think this is the most people we've had in a podcast in a while. Maybe it's because it's the weekend. It's coming to almost 600 people. Thank you so much. So she said, Fergie is only a survivor as long as Andy's alive. She still should stay away from open window. Oh, yeah. Have you heard of all these executives suddenly flying out windows and insane? I'm just trying to get through your comments before we wrap things up. Mrs. Clutch Sussex, she said, it's such a shame that people cannot think critically. No neurons firing in the brain. Oh, it seems not. It seems not. Cat Harlem, you're saying, Fergie's a survivor. She ain't gonna give up. She ain't gonna stop. She gonna work harder. I mean, in Dubai, apparently they're doing all types of things for money in Dubai. Being porta potties and all types. So yeah, I'm sure she'll find a way in Dubai. In spite of what you think of her, Fergie is a survivor. She will find someone to take care of her. I believe giving away government secrets is the only thing Andrew will be found guilty of. I think so as well. I don't know who at this point is going to be giving Fergie money. Who? And for what? For a long time, it was only Epstein giving her money. Unless there were others that we don't know about. Mind you, didn't she get caught at one point taking money from someone? And there was she did interviews about it. So it was almost, I think for her, it was like maybe Epstein was the only safe person that could give her money without her being embarrassed the way she was last time. So who else is giving her money? And for what? In exchange for what? I don't think they're going to be giving her that money for free. Thank you for showing up and thank you for the donation, hun. Yes, please, if you do want to donate to the channel, links in the bio. Buy me a coffee and PayPal are best so that YouTube doesn't take a cut of any of our revenues, please. Greedy, greedy YouTube. All right, folks. Yeah, I am most definitely going to wrap things up now. Thank you so much. I love these weekend shows. Appreciate you coming. And yeah, we'll see how all of this is going to continue to play out. I believe that the PR, the arrest was fake PR, as you're saying, Joyce Anderson. Yes, and I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg of what's about to come. Anyway, always remember to protect your mental health, folks. There's a big, wide, beautiful world outside of this little royal bubble that we live in. It's good for some tea and giggles and drama, but remember to go live in the real world. Look after yourselves, look after your families, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Ciao.